Namaskar. Tomorrow is 12th of January, the National Youth Day of India. During this long period of lockdown in the wake of the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, we had taken more and more to the social media. It has indeed been a pleasant experience to come across new faces, new persons, some of whom we only know virtually. One such is Rkm. Indeed, he has requested me to say a few words on the occasion of National Youth Day. Visiting Pilgrimages is the YouTube channel that Rkm he runs. And I thank this channel on this occasion for offering me an opportunity to speak before the audience. The Government of India in the year 1985 declared 12th January to be the National Youth Day. You can see two prominent words in this epithet, national and youth. Hence, this day has been marked out for the youth of the country across all the states. So here is a person, Swami Vivekananda, whose life and message has been provided as an example before the youth across all the states, having different languages, different religions, and different cultures. As we look back again, we can't help being surprised. Swami Vivekananda was born in the year 1863. That is, he was born close to 160 years ago. Well, such persons indeed are mentioned in the pages of history. But if you want to take them out from the pages of the book and set them as an example before the youth of modern times, you have to pause and ask yourself, how is Swami Vivekananda a contemporary person? In other words, how does the life of Swami Vivekananda and his message relevant for the youth of the country even today, after a gap of more than 155 years? Looking at the youth of today, at their aspirations, about how they want to climb up in the ladder of life, can we seek a comparison in Swami Vivekananda's life? Vivekananda was born as Narendranath Datta. He lost his father, Vishwanath, when he was 21 years of age. Vivekananda was born in an affluent family. The Dattas were hospitable enough for persons beyond their own relatives. Hence, every day during food time, there were quite a number of them in the Datta household. But suddenly, when Vishwanath Datta expired, it was as if the sky fell on the heads of the survivors of this Datta family. the eldest of whom was Narendranath Datta. The eldest son that he was, it was his responsibility to look after the family matters. Vishwanath Datta was a practicing lawyer. He was liberal, but he didn't care to look after his accounts. He was running a partnership law firm. Without his knowledge, the other partner had siphoned off a substantial amount of money, and hence what he bequeathed to his family was a large amount of loan that was to be paid. Hence, when Narendranath looked around, he felt the urgent need of employment, of a job. The all-rounded character that he was, good in studies, good in music, the heart of social circles among his friends, he was surprised to see that employment was not at all easy for him. In later days, he would mention, I was amazed to find that those who felt blessed even to speak to the Datta family members would now look aside in case they had to provide financial help to the Datta family. Hence, unemployment, the stark problem that the youth of the country face even today, Narendranath had to face that problem face to face. He was a member of the Brahmo Samaj, the reformist movement within the Hindu religion, which sought to cleanse the religion, the pristine Hindu religion, of the accretions of age-old superstitions. Brahmo Samaj thus thought of rationality. Their buzzword was that image worship was indeed because of the limitation of our mind. God, who is omnipresent, cannot be confined to an image. But these were indeed borrowed philosophical premises from Western religions or religions which were more prevalent in the West, such as Christianity and the others. Hence, this mixture of a religion that the Brahmo Samaj offered did not quench the thirst of the earnest heart of Narendranath. Indeed, when he was besieged by his family problems, he wondered whether God was indeed there. This agnosticism started creeping into him. Narendranath was well conversant with the Western philosophical systems that were taught to the college students. Indeed, he had written to Herbert Spencer even while he was a student at the General Assembly's institution. He was also well conversant with English literature. The Upanishads, specifically the Taittiriya Upanishad, speaks of a young aspirant as being Ashishta, Dradishta, Balishta. The young aspirant should be strong in body and mind. Narendranath indeed was a bright example of such a young man, of a person who was willing to sacrifice himself at the altar of truth. But when the grind of poverty started haunting him, when his mother and brothers had to face the dire problem of 2 square meals a day, Narendranath became apprehensive of the usefulness of religion. It was at this juncture that his acquaintance with Sri Ramakrishna proved to be a healing balm. It was Sri Ramakrishna who introduced him to Mother Kali. Mother Kali, who has destruction in her 2 hands, the sword and a severed human head. And on the other side, she has Vara and Abhaya. She has boons and she shows her blessings to her devotees. God or Ishwari is thus a combination of creation and destruction, of being a benevolent person and a ruthless, cruel dispenser of justice as well. Sri Ramakrishna, the worshipper of Mother Bhavatarini that he was, introduced this religion which combines the apparent contrast that people have to face in life. Narendranath, thereafter, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, went on foot or trains through the different states of India. He then saw the culture of the different states, the different languages, and he witnessed the tyranny of the upper castes on the lower castes. He well understood that this long domination by foreign rulers had well nigh broken the spine of the country. It was thus that many of the persons of the lower castes had been converted to other religions. As he travelled through the different states, he could compare the then prevalent British rule with the erstwhile Indian culture, Indian civilization of the bygone eras. Swami Vivekananda then decided to speak at the Parliament of Religions. In fact, persons like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, whom he met at Pune, earnestly requested him with his scholarship to participate in that Parliament of Religions. Some young men of Madras took the lead in raising funds for his journey by ship. Thus, Swami Vivekananda arrived at Chicago without any formal letter of introduction, whereby he could join the Parliament of Religions as a representative. But as chance may bring, he came across the professor of Greek of Harvard University, John Henry Wright, who was surprised by his great intellect and deep understanding of things. In the letter of introduction to the office of the Parliament of Religions, this professor of Harvard University wrote those lines: to ask this young man for credentials is to ask of the sun its right to shine. He is more learned than all our learned professors put together. This indeed paved the way for Swamiji's entrance to the Parliament of Religions. At the Parliament of Religions, he proudly spoke of the philosophy and religion of India. He declared that the Vedanta calls on man again and again, that he is divine. Those immortal lines were heard at the Parliament of Religions. Sinners, it is a sin to call a man so. It is a standing libel on human nature. Come up, O liars, and shake off the delusion that you are sheep. You are souls immortal, spirits free, blessed and eternal. This message of Vedanta, which was poles apart from the interpretation of Christianity prevalent then, which stressed on the sins that men and women commit, and thereby they have a ritual of confession before the clergyman. Swamiji declared the intrinsic divinity of individuals, just as the sun is occasionally covered by clouds. So men or women do commit mistakes. But as you remind them of their intrinsic divinity, they can easily get out of this rut of confusion and wrongdoings. During this trip by ship to the Parliament of Religions, Swamiji met Jamshedji Tata as they travelled together from Yokohama to Vancouver. Swamiji encouraged Jamshedji Tata to start independent industry in India. Instead of being a mere merchant, Jamshedji was then a big merchant dealing in matches, which he imported from Japan. After 5 years, when Jamshedji Tata decided to start an institute of higher scientific research and learning, which later came to be known as the Indian Institute of Science located in Bangalore, he requested Swami Vivekananda to take up the leadership. It was thus that Swamiji's encouragement to the Tatars paved the way for higher learning, in particular scientific learning. Swami Vivekananda thus combines in himself the grand learning of the Vedanta that the Hindu religion, the Indian religion declares to the world, with modern scientific outlook and rationality. Swamiji thus encouraged the starting of industrial training. The Ramakrishna mission in later days took up his teachings in right earnest. This organization, started by him in 1897, have thus started institutes of learning throughout the country and even beyond. Swamiji had said, education is the panacea to all evils. Just as Raja Bhagirath, King Bhagirath, is supposed to have tamed the Ganges and led it down from the Himalayas to the plains. Similarly, the grand message of the Upanishads were brought down by Swami Vivekananda, which he taught in the light of the life of Sri Ramakrishna for modern men and women. On this auspicious day of the National Youth Day of India, we remember this powerful personality who encouraged us to study the Gita, where Sri Krishna admonished Arjuna, Klaivyam masma gamaha partha, naitat tvai upapadyate. O Partha, this faint-heartedness of the heart doesn't befit you. You are a scorcher of foes, hence rise up and fight. Swamiji too encouraged his countrymen to stand up and boldly face life as it is and sacrifice himself or herself for the cause of the poor, the millions. It is only when we hear and listen to his message with attention can India rise up again. Jayatu Swamiji. Namaskar.